Wonderful people. Today we are opening up this particular video into an entire explanation of what it means to be alive on the planet right now, how evolution is going to explore itself within us, and why we have arrived at a point of no return. And so as it's getting darker, sorry, I need to put on the lights a little bit, it means that within that darkness we can see the light, we can see the construction of the entire universe that is a huge architectural design created by the origin, and the origin that was just one point in creation, one single point opening up, expanding into one big crystalline sphere of light that we all have from within. And from within we create the synchronicity, the opening from the microcosmos into the macrocosmos, to that singular point that is a crystalline sphere. How magnificent can it be? So here from that point we open up that crystalline sphere that opens up, that we all have in the body through birth. Some people tap into it, some people don't tap into it, for it needs understanding in order, to work with the application of our origin, which is pure light particles moving into light waves, moving into configurations of light geometrical patterns. These geometrical patterns format in different designs: light stars, light codes, light numbers, light angles. You don't have to know about mathematics or geometry in order to tap into it, because we all have our particular specialty within, but we all can reformat, recreate the physical body, the light body, and all the bodies that move all the way through the entire cosmos, to the omni-beyond, into the bridge that is termed the bridge of pure knowledge, or the Antakarana, the rainbow bridge. We are starting to open up into right the incoming years. And that is going to be a grand transition which we will witness definitely during this particular month, as many choices can be made to tap into that pure point of our origin, and actually opens everything back through what gives us a living light force connectivity to the divine sources, working synchrone in our embodiment. And so here I will explain how you can tap into it, because if we look at creation, let's say you're being born on the planet, you have the influences of parents, the environments, teachers. You learn about cultural things or not at all. I had no cultural background at all. I'm very happy about it, because it actually means I can tap into and feel so good in any culture. And that's the advantage by not being embedded in a particular cultural belief system. Because when being birthed on a planet, let's say that, was cracked down into pieces into an electromagnetic system that is not of the origin, then it means that we were all planted here as seeds, or star seeds, or nucleic source essences, if you will, with massive, unlimited potential to recreate self, to regrow light particles, to regrow missing parts in the body even. I do know there's many people on the planet who already do that. And it's termed actually spiritual science, or the science of the universes. And there is no end to that education. So if we look back at being birthed, going through some level of education, going through the influences, going, through all the mechanics that broke us, that created actually the emotional body in our spiritual body, which cracked that particular one singular point that is the master source stone into pieces, because it cannot hold on to emotions. Let me explain this. As the body of the planet is almost all water, and thus we are almost all water, then we can work our way all the way back through the movement of working in co-creation with the water compositions of the earth. And there's not enough people doing that right now, but it offers, major solutions, because we also have arrived at a point in time in which the awakening process is going worldwide, but it's not enough to awaken, because on one side of the equation, where you might say, I'm passionate about what I do in my life, I have a great job, but I can't move forward. I don't have justice. I don't have enough finances. I do not have, the environment, the friends, anything you desire in your life. That means actually you live in a huge potential of limitation. And moving from limitation into unlimited potential requires the education back into your origin, moving back in that singular equation that offers all the geometrical patterns, that opens up your original life dynamics, your life force. And being birthed in a broken planet with massive diseases and the entire system built on betrayal, then we can definitely move out of it, because there is nothing hidden. There are no secrets. There is information upon information, if only we direct ourselves back into the origin and inverting everything that was inverted. So the convert mechanism into, let's say, the transformational process in which you see, and allow everything, and thus you become a co-creator that manifests every day, that needs some level of understanding, because from that singular point we created a line between A and B through which creation has been built. A second line opens a triangle, and that means we move out of polarity, the 1, the 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 polarity, so embedded within the genes, and then that was never actually part of creation. And so we crack the codes back into our origin, into the knowledge, into education, in which everything in your life manifests instantly, and you delete the old lifestyle, the old knowledge, the old belief system, everything that created actually malfunctioning in the body, the energy field, in your life in general, in everything you live, everything you're conscious about, everything you don't like, everything, that haunts you. Because if you live in a body piled with dead cells that is created through the matrix, we can bring these cells back alive by reconnecting to that one singular point that hosts your star seeds, your crystalline original seed that is a perfect male-female component, the alpha omega component within you that reconnects with everything, where there's no longer any polarity, any division, any divide, any duality. Name it the way you would like to name it. That's all okay, because you have that particular divine right. And thus here, understanding how to get into it, because there's so much falsification in spiritual growth, in education, all over the globe. It becomes quite difficult to choose from if we had bad experiences that didn't get us anywhere. So here, let's explore what is going to get you everywhere, all the way back into the galaxies, into the cosmos, and learn about your own geometrical patterns that create geometrical designs, that create certain particular codes that can transcend and transform, in the first place, consciousness. So from that singular point, that particular sphere actually hosts the one, or the recreation into the one, where there is no division, no divide, no division in the cells either, that hosts all the spheres that came into creation with what is termed the tree of life. And the tree of life gave life, or brought life into consciousness. So consciousness is being created by energy, by frequencies, holding up vibrations, and that consciousness embedded within all the 22 spheres connected to the modern day tree of life, that was never connected to 10 or 12 spheres actually. Or here is a particular design I'm creating with all the 12 spheres that changes you every day. So if you're not passionate about life, and you're not, enjoy every day with new creations, with getting new things in connection with all divine living light sources and forces, then life gets very depressing, because we actually function by the newness, by new creations, and repeating old creations all of the time, never getting out of one cycle into the next, into never-ending eternal cycles, because we are eternal beings. Then you create that pattern of recycling energies that are no longer part of creation, because creation states that it recreates itself on a continual level. So evolution is never ending, and thus the continuum that it resides in the big master soul stone of all creation, and within that big master soul stone we have our master soul stone, and then within that master soul stone is the new tree of life that hosts any 22 spheres of light connected to languages of light, starting off with the Chinese symbolism, going all the way further into the Hebrew letters that we create the body every day. So I know there's people who do not like it, even hate it. That means there's something in self you hate by yourself, because all of creation was created by that particular Hebrew alphabet. And we don't need to speak Hebrew or anything, but toning these letters can truly shape your consciousness, your life on an everyday level. And it's a matter of just working with it and allowing self to gain that particular recreational format, connectivity, co-creational projects with everything in the big cosmos. And thus when birthed in soul consciousness, we have no access to living light sources and forces, because it's cut down when moving from spirit into soul. So breaking down the soul created the chakra system. Removing the chakra system opens up one big pillar of light, in connecting with all the divine sources and forces, and many pillars of divine light on this planet and many galaxies throughout the entire cosmos. So can you imagine the connectivity that we can make right now with divine species in any format? And that is a matter of converting everything back into divine will, because divine will knows what is best for you, knows how to create with you, knows, because it's the creator. So if we connect to the individual will, also termed free will, you can imagine how many times our divine road is being, piled with difficulties and limitations. So here we creating a foundation into living light and working with all the 22 spheres of light opens up our capacity to move in back in what is the creation of the cosmos, and that is nothing less than a crystalline network that is piled with sub-networks of crystalline grids, if you will. And crystalline grids are being installed all over the globe and have been grounded fully, because that is actually the reason why many things broke and the creation of the matrix and soul came along with the dark ages. So we are moving out of it, and we're all being requested to move back into that study, because life gets pretty boring and uninteresting when we do not reconnect with the true nature of ourselves. And there's so many people on the planet refusing that, just by lack of knowledge, lack of trust, lack of faith, lack of the correct educational system to move into, and losing faith by that. So here, moving into that position, you need the feelers to choose the right path that creates development upon development, creation upon creation, because opening up into creation means you reconnect back to your source, to the master source stone that is embedded in the middle of the brain, but also around the energy field. And the energy field, if we start from that one singular point and we create a line from A to B, opening up to our source self, we create a capstone of creation, which we see all over the planet on many pyramids, but is also the essence of creation in many mountains. The mountains host all the elements, and the all elements are being conducted and redirected by the divine sources and forces, by the element, by the Elohim, the seraphim, there's so many we can co-create with, receive messages from, but correct data. In soul consciousness, you get airy-fairy data that deviates you on your highway back home. As home will be planted on the planet, the entire cosmos is, the entire axis position of the earth is returning into its origin. It's turning with the one. And the one, there is a team that is termed the divine team, or the one we can reconnect with, and you get support 1000% a day, 24/7. When not being connected to your spirit self, your source self, your original spark, and at least a light embodiment that opens all the spheres of your origin in that one particular master source stone, then you actually have no support at all. Because that represents the movement back into your spirit and connectivity with all the teams of light in the cosmos, the angelic kingdoms, the giants, the elements, and especially the communication with the crystalline grids that move through everything. There is millions and billions and thousands of crystalline grids making up the body. So setting in a crystalline network in the home in the first place then connects to your light body that opens up from that triangle, connected actually to your temple of light in the universe, creates a second triangle, so a double triangle with a tube of light in between, and that, you know, that triangle with the point down connects really to the center of light earth, living light in the earth, resurrecting right now. And thus when you are connected to that, you eliminate everything that split your consciousness from the divine. And so there is a tube of light between those two triangles, and that reconnects, and thus when they click together, you have, you know, like a diamond, a cube of light that is a diamond. Within the diamond, you open up the capstone into the third, fourth, fifth eyes, and so forth. The first pair of ears, or the crystallization into light hearing the sounds of the universe, of the cosmos, or hearing sounds that are connected to your axis position. Remember, the earth is a round project. The crystalline sphere, that particular point that expands in all geometric patterns, is connected to an axis position. That particular axis position, especially when you connect to the team axis, you have all the support, is also connected to exotonal ley lines. These exotonal, it's the word does speak for itself, right? Exotones. So these bring to the correct tones you need to hear in order to move into your next level, refine yourself, get into your passion, get into your particular assignments on the planet. Knowing who you are, knowing why you are here is the only thing actually that matters on the planet. And if you're not there, then life gets, you know, without a reason, drowns you into the fear syndrome piled with diseases, malfunctioning, unhappiness, depression, all those lower levels of emotional content that do not exist. So the transformation, transition with all these 12 first spheres and the higher 10 spheres in that one sphere means you can reconnect or delete all the old systems, the old belief system. You can transcend the water content in the body to the kidneys and to the spinal column, to the ventricles in the brain. There is so much water content, in the body that can be refined so you can swim as one with the dolphins, the whales, all species in the oceans, and receive massive information from them. So everything actually moves together through the crystalline grids that are first creation. It's a matter of willing or allowing self to step into that education and then create with source light configurations through the network of crystals containing all the divine sources and forces, because sacred geometry is actually the complete measurement in a crystalline grid that holds many crystals, not only that one. I mean, there's billions and crystals. But the knowledge of this omnipotent universe is that unlimited capacity, and so it opens up power spots within you, power spots connecting to the power spots on the planet, and that are architectural designs opening up sub-patterns, sub-geometrical applications. That means, for example, let's keep it very simple. Here, if in a state of alignment to your tree of light, to a foundation, you want to move up, you refine the body, you remove the old belief systems, you remove all diseases to your entire biology, then you can open up sacred geometrical biological patterns. So the patterns in your skin, in the bones, in the muscles, in your eyes, in your ears, everything that exists in our biology can open up to a dodecahedron, a triangle, a line, name it. There's many things. And it's easy to do. Never think of anything from the divine as difficult. That is, a first thing to remember, though it takes commitment, it takes study, it takes education, but the rewards are endless and unlimited because it comes from divine sources and forces. So developing consciousness and an energy field that embraces the entire field, matching the entire field of the cosmos and all creations of our spiritual body, then we get access back into the training of multifaceted, multidimensional embodiment and being and living that way, meaning you receive information every day and you change every day. There's no such thing that one sacred geometrical pattern can be applied for months and weeks, because we change every day. We are evolution. So today, for example, in my meditation, I wanted to delete something I was still attached to. I said, what's the pattern here? And I aligned first for 1 hour at least to many, many, many different things you can learn about if you want to. So I got a simple, pure, embedded titanium and golden cube with 4 directions connecting north, south, east, west. Quite easy to understand because source never gives anything difficult. Through it, I got actually a spiral moving in the burgundy color that is, a high level of sacredness. The burgundy color is, you need to know about all the 22 colors or spheres in that one particular sphere. Because all of them will give you instant knowledge, connectivity, recreating, and deleting everything that needs to go, so you can open up to the things you really desire and want in your life. And that is becoming a super dimensional embodiment. And thus that cube, my source told me, just run it around in your amygdala region, then open a triangle that connects, directly to the center point of Earth, into the center point of the great central sun, your home, your house in Shambhala. Claim your space up there and spiral that particular thing out with that cube. And I mean, after just 5, 6, 7 minutes of doing that, I felt completely relieved. So that is how easy sacred geometry transforms. With it comes the transformation into sacred biology, or geometric biology, geobiology. There's so many names for it. And thus I've been studying it and moving up and upgrading, I must say, for 20 years now. And now everything has become an acceleration, a very fast movement all the way back into the divine, gaining the knowledge about the entire architectural design in the cosmos that is created by crystalline grids, hosting crystals all of the time. So I'm wearing many, many crystals all of the time, for the sheer purpose of changes in my consciousness, matching the crystals in the grids. And we can all start that out, a foundational training in that alchemy, working with the capstone of creation, opening up that eye that starts to see when working with all these spheres. So for example, I get a code here to the pink sphere. I created the pink sphere, is connected to Venus, Andromeda, up into the pink dragon, to the higher senses, connected to the highest level where Christ and Buddha consciousness opens up with the pillar of light in the heart center, but opening directly with the higher rays, for example, the amber ray, into that the bigger Master Soul Stone around us, and transforming that consciousness into the higher senses. So here the code that I get was that particular envelope. It's called an envelope. So an envelope carries what? Carries a letter, if you want, a letter with information. So here there is a spiritual envelope that especially comes through the combination of burgundy and pink, which I'm wearing again. So most of the time you will wear what you work with, and that is how creation works. And thus I opened that up. I asked, what do I do with it? And then I could start designing it for humanity, willing to work with the codes I provide, because they're very quick, they're very potent. They release immediately if just willing how to work with it. And then I was directed to open up codes into the pink way with the transformation into the higher senses that also comes with the beautification of the body. And many more things here as I was guided to reconnect here with my information, as those flames you can see in the white purification flames open up here, especially to the transparency, the transparent white ray, and opens up your reconnectivity with the higher senses in the pink way. And then I was able to download my own information, how to work with that particular code and so forth. So let's say within each of the 22 spheres, that is the tree of life, modernized, that moves in another direction, not the old tree that moves that way, moves that way. So, and so you see the back and the front of the new tree of life right here, that is also connected to the one sphere that offers the ambrosia of the divine, that opens up, as I explained, two triangles connect in a diamond of light. The diamond of light has the exactitude of the first 12 spheres of creation, and around it we have the 10 highest spheres, all contained in that one Master Soul Stone. And thus one sphere has many attributes, application, geometrical patterns to work with and how to apply them. It's connected to elements. It could have a flower kingdom in them. It could have a herbal kingdom in them. It could have a connectivity to the animal kingdom. So there's so much in creation. And once we open up the Donegate, that is the sacral plexus, and reason why most people are completely sick over there in the sacral, the solar, and the root not having enough finances flowing, the sacral not having your creativity bombing through on an everyday level and creating new stuff every day. And thus the solar center, you know, gets disease, opens the diseases in the brain, and you get the entire pattern that we are witnessing on the planet. So moving out of it is available for everybody. So it's all about the development of consciousness contained within the 1 point, 1 sphere, opening up 22 spheres, and 1, 2, or 3 spheres are very active in one particular month. So it's very common to just, you know, embrace the field of our spiritual body and have our consciousness to truly remove the amnesia of the soul out of the body, like it's like, you know, feeling paralyzed all of the time and living in a soul body. And so I must say, spiritual development and spiritual education, of course, it has been blocked, because if we would educate ourselves back into the knowledge, then we could not be manipulated anymore. So there's a whole story. There's no education in present day schooling. We need to go and find the other platforms. So all my 20 years of study and moving onwards and onwards, healing inside out, and is all about your true essence, that is the eternal, immortal self. We are all eternal beings on the planet. Claiming that capacity needs the movement into that new modern day tree of life contained in the Master Soul Stone, opening that up. Many people, you know, still connect to the celestial body, that, you know, that is too high a vibration, at a point of where you can start feeling vibrations and feeling the oceans moving through. In the soul body, you can connect to any lake or ocean as much as you want. You won't feel it. You need the step down. So the divine has given us the celestial new embodiment directly into Shambhala reconnectivity. So moving from the foundation into the celestial universal bodies. And next year, or from now on, we are moving into the Shambhala bodies. You know, you vibrate inside out and you feel all the vibrations, as the main goal here is from the foundation and knowing how to work uplift frequencies. That can only be done when you uplift your vibration, in which you can match those frequencies. And so you learn about that into my follow-up courses, from my foundation into the Rise and Vibe series, into the series with the elements, and then the Shambhala series coming out right now. So that is never-ending spiral back into the divine. As eternal beings, we need to reconnect to the higher planes of existence that open up despite the eternal, immortal spirals back, that reconnect us with the architectural designs that are all over. And so in order to go through all that education, is because it aligns us to becoming who we are. And when we know who we are, we get passionate about ourselves, and we become that inner dimensional being, and that portal point or that inner dimensional door is right in the middle of the back and front of the new tree of life, connected to your pillar of light in the high heart and the heart center, opening up, that is your temple of light. And that allows for the phoenix, so to speak, to rise beyond the ashes, opening up the many flowers of life. Let's say not only we have 7 centers here, they are merged in the body, the 5 higher centers, creating, you know, all 12 centers, and then we open that into one pillar. And then all these centers actually need to become one with the 7 Kumaras. If you know Sanat Kumara, that is the entity you can connect with to open up all the living light gardens, connected to oceans, connected to many, many deserts on the planet. And so it gets very, very interesting. And so we start to fertilize the land, even in the desert region. And so I have an example here. I do know, you know, the solar plexus, for example, is connected to the sunflower kingdom, and then it has subflowers and sub-gardens and whatever. And I was guided in to the Three Sisters in Australia. I opened up here the blue cornflower. That blue cornflower got me in connection with communication and information from many animal kingdoms, and I got connected to a puma, and then I got into the animal grid, and then there is no end, no end, no end, because you go further and further, and you get your own information in which you start to gain knowledge about who you truly are. So I'm re-educating myself in who I am, as I'm being told I am a genetic encoder, re-encoding the genes through my designs here. Here is an example of the codes I have at the present moment, if you're passionate about it. But these codes open up when you you focus enough in meditation. They open up a particular geometric pattern. At times I get a pink dodecahedron, then a green one, then I do know what the colors are connected to. So the study of studying color in itself as psychology, as an application in philosophy, in your own psychology, in a recreation, in creating manifestations, all that matters, because they create attributes and new attributes that you can apply. So sacred geometry becomes an application in the body, and at a certain point again in time, from that point, that singularity into that crystalline sphere, that could open up, for example, just saying, a tetrahedron. I'm just saying, if you get a particular color in that, never take a color just, from the self. Allow spirit to bring it through. So reconnecting to spirit self, source self, and your spark self is quite a training in itself, but so interesting and passionate. So the only thing that we truly need is to decide to go through a particular process when realizing that we, without getting back into our origin, with just the whole purpose of being on the planet, then we actually have nothing, because we'll never get out of it. And thus, as the planet is rising in vibration, is moving into the ascent, we have given the option of moving with it into the ascent. Those who are not willing to do the work, or do want to remain on their old cycles, will eventually move into a lesser planet at some point in time as well. So deciding to move through it, we can all do it. We can start out today knowing that it takes commitment, it takes excitement, being excited about yourself, about self-development. It's not even self-awareness anymore, because self-awareness goes on and on and on and on. It never stops. So it's all about the leading and opening the passion to thrive and to become, super consciousness that has access to the origin of creation, that is the power of the word. So opening the throat, where most of the disease happen, and just, they catapult into the rest of the cells, and then, it's a never-ending spiral into the old, and definitely not the eternal spiral. So integrating living light particles open up living light wavelengths. These wavelengths can open up a geometrical pattern. Then you study that geometrical pattern. Within that geometrical pattern, you can receive a code, such as these codes I receive all of the time. You can put that in a geometrical pattern, such as I mentioned before. I got that titanium golden cube. 4 axes, I get a burgundy spiral through it. You don't need to be a designer. You can remember it, write it down, work with it, ask the divine what it means, and allow the answers to come true. because then you can always connect and ask or request to connect with the divine partner. Once you're in a light body in your particular sphere, in the new tree of life, you can just ask and you will get a partner to work with you, with your specifics, instantly. They have a name, you can name it, you may hear just one word, and then you work on that, and then you may get a sentence and you write it down and you start to trust. And then in the beginning, never share your information. You need to trust and have faith in yourself first with your connectivities, and then the team unification comes in. And then you open up, you expand, like a torus. You expand and you expand, because that Master Source Stone, when the breath of Source opens up all the way into the Omni breath, into next year, I guess, the cosmological breath, then you expand and you become, like from 1 mile, you become 10 miles in circumference. And so you have more and more access, you have more intelligence, and you have more knowledge, of course, because with each expansion, you activate the delete button to parts that remained dormant in the brain, so your brain gets more space to host more knowledge. And when you have more knowledge, of course, your life starts to change, and it requires the delete button to old connectivities that stand in the way, meaning people, meaning belief systems, meaning so many things, because setting a foundation gets you back into your spiritual authenticity as an eternal being. So we are recreating our eternal self, in which you get to know who you are, essentially, and that is very, very important. So and then you actually connect to that emotional body, that water body. We're all water, so it's imperative to really work through the water with the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Antarctic Ocean. There's so many when in an celestial body. So from the foundation into the celestial universal body opens up the vibrations. You feel it moving through. You become one with, for example, Lake Moraine in Canada, and that hosts the turquoise rays. So you need that knowledge, and that is the knowledge I've been working on for 25 years with massive results, people changing overnight, and that is where the true power of sacred geometry opens up. And that is not so good here, so I'm putting that a bit down. And then, that is the foundation, replacing the water into the higher senses and unifying with your source, that you host in your crystalline sphere, is very, very important, because the movement from free will in divine will is actually something that is not a choice, it's mandatory. Otherwise, we get deviated and we don't never find our balance back. And so, as we move with our Master Source Stone around the light body energy field, we can interlink, interconnect to the massive crystalline networks, opening up more and more crystals to us. And so these crystals gives us information. So there's a reason why there's so many crystals on the planet, growing through the mountains, growing under the ground, growing everywhere on the planet. It's for the resurrection of our divine spirit all the way back into a passionate life. So of course, it's easy to understand the reason why the breathing system has been smashed out of the body through soul consciousness. Everything broke us when we moved or were birthed in soul consciousness, and it couldn't be otherwise, because the crystalline grids were broken, and thus massive invasions came to that created a planet diseased with malfunctioning and yeah, as many call it, amnesia. So here, eliminating old beliefs and old constructions, old educations, and opening up your higher centers in which you find what is the perfect highway for you to move in there. I'm committed to go all the way. You can check out the following courses that I have. I went through, I made a resume from everything that I went through the past 25 years. So if you want that, it's all up there in the description. And so it's, you know, when opening up every light degree to the omnipotent black universe, you know, we can open up our origin and the alignments in sacred geometry that starts out with the cube of light body, the triangle, and the all-seeing eye, the master soul stone around it. And then when interested in particular patterns, you may get designs. So the main goal with everything from a foundation into alchemy, into the celestial universal embodiment, and into the beyond is actually the complete opening into the invisible eye, but definitely making it in or working on the bridge of light that is green light go, or the Antakarana rainbow bridge that opens up your particular individual designs. So very interesting here. If you can make it up there, it just, you know, it needs some traffic in the brain, these designs, so it needs a clear brain. You cannot imagine that a brain piled with old stuff, with turbulence of old consciousness, that it can be open or receptive to receiving modern day 100% correct divine information. And so those modern day science in our world do not recognize living light, and thus living light is, you know, is our chi energy, the origin of prana that moves through many different levels, as we need to move through many different levels in consciousness. Then again, we can manifest daily, truly daily, in the new spiritual body, opening up on many different power points on the planet as well. For example, here I am in Europe, in Belgium. So there is the spiritual body connected especially to the UK, reconnecting all the way to Peru, for the lady and the gent to come together, because everything that was duality needs to merge, or lady gent particles, and thus we're meeting up with the divine perfect partner, creating the next point into the oneness. So that is a spiritual body to Stonehenge in the UK, connecting to certain lakes in Peru, making that point into the oneness, opening up into the bridge of light that opens the emerald tablets. And from there on, we recreate, we rewrite our own emerald tablets. Everybody has them, because we're all equal. So when moving out of duality, polarity, name it, we equalize. Nobody is lesser, nobody is more. And especially when we connect to the one team, the omnipresent divine team in consciousness, connected to this master soul stone around the body, that heats up. Like I feel the fire in my hands right now when I work with it. That is because it's encoded with the energy fields, you know, I have been expanding upon for many years. Yet today we can all move through it, you know, like you can change overnight in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, depending on how much you want to, how far you want to go actually in creation. Because knowing and remembering who you are brings everything to you. So because it will refine the body, it will clear out the body until you get into the true passion. Otherwise, we have some sense of what we love. You know, some love cooking, some love gardening, some love making art. But it's just, you know, the divine just says like, it's just a little sparkle of your entire spark architectural design. And thus design changes every day. And you may get designs and geometrical pattern. You can put them under the skin, so to speak. You can put them to the bone structure. You can put them in your heart with your pillar of light. You can put them in your brain. You can put them anywhere, just as long as you work with them. And then life becomes interesting, because there's too much falseness in education. So it's really getting everything aligned to the spiritual worlds, getting the static out. Moving out of the static means everything, because you engage yourself, you open up with who you are, you use everything on the planet that is out there in nature, you study that, you sleep through, you know, you actually recreate your energy field. That is so important. So do remember, in the beginning there was the word, and we are returning into the power of the word. In all my healing sessions, I do with any clients, I do know, and many witness that today, that whatever I say is my power, and my power moves immediately through your consciousness. And thus that consciousness changes immediately when I depict where things go wrong in psychology, when you need to delete that. I align, I get the immediate information, I pull that through, I pull that light through the screen, through a photograph, whatever, as you arrive in a celestial universal body, all the way back into your home, that is Shambhala. That's a level of consciousness that opens up all the way after foundational alignment into a never-ending spiral that goes far beyond temporary pleasures on the earth, because they're actually not pleasures. When a joy phenomenon occurs, it need to be everlasting into eternity. So it's actually about facing what our life is about, you know. It matters to have a purpose, and it matters to have a spiritual purpose. So a purpose that goes on all the way into eternity, because, you know, and then you get divine assignments. It is my assignments to, you know, to truly also not only be a genetic encoder, to be the power of the word, to bring through actually education for the lost ones. There's many lost people, and Spirit was really talking to me like the lost ones, like lost children or lost youth and families that have it all, but yet don't see that they don't have anything at all, actually, and thus taking care of those lost ones. And I did a great deal of healing in that particular domain. Next domain is with the animal kingdom, because that is what I live for. I'm so in love with all animals, you know, all. Not just dogs, not just donkeys, not just horses, not just dolphins, all of them. Just, I cannot be in love with just one sort of species, but that's me, right? And so you be in love with you. And that is where you get more and more consciousness, because for many years I have been going through so many changes. It hasn't been without tears, and these days my tears are piled with joy, actually, because of the information, the geometrical patterns that come through. And these patterns also create numbers. Then I work with the numbers, and these numbers also create waves, and then these numbers recreate you know, perhaps a triangle, and then that triangles moves up in a double triangle, and then you get something else. So then comes the passion. But without recreating the physical biology back into the spiritual biology, through the light body, through the new tree of light, through your direct connect to your source spark spirit and the pillar of light that deletes the killing fields of the chakra system, and especially that kundalini thing that breaks you completely down. It eats the body. There is never such a thing as the kundalini created by the divine. It has been created by humanity in the matrix, and it can be no other, because in the spiritual realms it happens, or the alchemy into the higher senses happens through the breath, which seems quite natural. I find, you know, the airplane very, very dirty in many, many occasions. So I'll talk about that in the next session. So once the decision has been made, you can go any highway truly. And it's just about believing it, going beyond duality, going beyond, you know, working with the tables of all the elements in existence. You know, I get the word titanium to my cube. I look up the composition of titanium. What are the elements in titanium? Why did I get titanium and gold? Why not silver and I don't know, purple or something? Just saying, right? There is a reason why Spirit brings it through, and thus it's very important to really align to the bridge of light. I bring down a series of that this month. And so if you want to, you can subscribe to my newsletter and receive the latest news moving into the bridge of light and the next movement. Because let's say there is no way we can complain. Everything is on the planet. Nobody is deprived out of anything. It's a matter of re-educating, finding your highway, connecting to the right people, to choose your highway and get out of anything that is betrayal, even in the low spiritual educational system that you know, that have no forward movement actually, and you know, that makes you lose your faith over and over again. But when you get into the real alignments and the true study with the divine, you have no time for that, because you only have time for upgrades every day, for passion, to thriving forward, to recreating yourself, recreating your life, finding new connections, and especially when connecting, as everything is made out of the elements carry light waves, light particles, as the whole goal with the celestial universal higher bodies in that particular sphere of light and the expansion with the Taurus comes to the elements. These elements, if I look them up, they also carry codes, and these codes have a periodic table and thus carry living light energy, chi energy. So here, without life forces and chi in the body, without opening up into that which happens in the celestial body truly, you can basically never move beyond the electromagnetics, and thus you actually allow yourself to stay in the electromagnetics, piled with disease, malfunctioning, and no recreational options. And so the living light fields that are the crystalline networks, installing them in the entire whole, defeats electromagnetics, and you become crystalline electrons that completely pulls off the pulsation of electromagnetics, can no longer dig into you, because your consciousness becomes so immensely strong. You defeat any malfunctioning just by the power of the word. you command this and this and this, and it just happens overnight. I have many examples for that, and thus many of these codes, sacred geometrical patterns, and let's say complete architectural designs, as we can see in architectural, I think architects of the divine in this age may be very happy also, because they will be able to open up that particular life force of the divine in geometrical pattern and architectural plans and housing. So the new housing constructed by new architects in divine alignment can open that up, and that is new stuff coming through, which will be very interesting, because you know, until now, I've also created, you know, I create my living light codes through geometrical patterns right now on clothing, fitness bags, energy bottles, you know, all that stuff. And when you drink from it, for example, from an energy bottle, of course, you get that code in the body. That code goes where? To the water of the body, because you start cleansing. And so mixing that code with water, with juices, with tea, with whatever you fancy, already, you know, creates the complete change of geometrical patterns in the water of the body. So you do notice a lot of people, you know, who showed the crystallization of water in oceans, and when it freezes, and water patterns, you know, all that. It's not my job, so you can look that up. And there's many of these are actually making us split away from duality. So when we make that split shift from polarity or duality into unity consciousness, into the one, where that crystal ball is one, like in most people, it is cut into two pieces. So, you know, that is what you experience. Broken heart, broken brain, broken consciousness, broken life. And that is where it comes from, actually. So, getting back into universal balance means centering self back from that one point in center Earth, like 1.5 meters, all the way into the earth is where the first crystalline grids are being planted. You can host that, you can install that in your own house, and then we connect our space all the way back beyond the laziness, beyond our self-indoctrination, and especially beyond our own irritations. And most of all, it's just, you know, laziness and resistances that keeps us from going there, and that all malfunctioning, that brain, you know, that keeps us from self-development and so forth. It all, you know, stems forth from the matrix that is collapsing. So when not developing self beyond it, we collapse with the matrix. That is pure logic. So there's no logic in the matrix. So if you don't have, you can move yourself beyond it, get into the education, how to install your crystalline grid, but also expand upon it, because in the end, the crystalline grids, like for example, an angelic crystalline grid, an amethyst crystalline grid, especially for the spiritual body, a red way crystalline grid from the eternal valleys in the United States, opening up through the bone construction, we versus, you know, the aging in the bones, you know, when we age, it's actually that the bone marrow turns yellow, so we can return that, invert that back into red bone marrow, and so forth. So it's many people are already doing that and becoming stronger and stronger by the day. So it always needs to be like in a space of ease and grace. When we have ease and grace, we are in the correct alignment. When we connect to the divine, getting out of the polarized aspects of self, then we get a particular blueprint in meditation. Then we connect to the divine plan. Then we connect to our own particular blueprint, that is a particular design connected to our essence that hosts everything that we are, that has geometrical patterns, that has the scent of our own origin, that has the information about our passion, that has our forward movement, that has our direction, that has everything actually. And so it needs the reconnection of the original seed that is still hosted in the South Pacific Ocean. And that is actually also what I teach, because the original seed in the ocean connects to all the other seeds in all the other oceans on the planet, and thus meditating with all the oceans with the original seed has a particular vortex around it. That vortex is connected to all the elements and particular patterns in the elements and sub-elements, and that remakes the body into the eternal, immortal, living light being. So, and that is when we look at nature, we look at the flower, the plant kingdoms, they all have patterns, and they all created from that one particular point. They definitely have a master soul stone, they have a sphere around them. And so we are all the same, and thus we can connect to many, many, species that eventually have another creation and something else than a sphere, but still can connect as we all, as long as it connects to living light beings. And that is how we can actually call it forward, invite it, and move that embodiment all the way up. And thus you start to creating more and more and more skills. The same way, I started out at the age of 16. I was sick and tired of that world. I was always afraid going to sleep. Like I felt uncomfortable. Like I was always thinking, like, what if I die tonight? Because, I had that thing in my brain like, hey, you're not conscious. You wake up and then you don't know where you were all these hours when you sleep, right? It's pretty scary. And then I started to look up books in the occult. I couldn't get along with the spiritual books, except for those of Alice Bailey. I liked it. And now we're moving beyond that. And there's a lot that needs to resurrect, especially with these 22 spheres. So if you can tone the Hebrew letters, the English letters, and some of the Chinese characters or symbolism, opening that up and, already start out a crystalline grid in the home with a foundation, and then just moving that through, you can change consciousness overnight. Where it doesn't change is where people give themselves a stuck pattern, repeating the old same stuff all of the time, including when you move all the way, from that earth soul embodiment into your spirit embodied living light embodiment, where life starts off, because it carries living light. Soul has no living light, so it decays. That is a simple logical explanation for it, yet many people choose to not move forward, and that is their choice. So we cannot lift anybody up. We can co-create, we can lift each other, we can co-create, and move into a sort of a team, into oneness together, where we support each other, but each other meaning you need to do the work yourself, and definitely not go to somebody else's source force or listen to any sort of guru syndrome that gets you there. You need to get your connectivity, your alignment back into your source self, your spirit and your source, until it brings you to tears. And that is when you know, when you feel the vibrations, you know, moving through all of the time. Find redirections, ask questions, have answers before your question is out. Then you're 100% aligned with the divine at all times. Okay, for today that was it. If you have any questions, just shoot, let me know them. Eventually subscribe to my newsletter or inform yourself about the courses I have developed and over these years, and I've put them together in onlines that are, you know, easy to follow up for everybody, you know, to get into knowing yourself and your entire universal eternal vibration, claiming the self back into your spirit self and leaving the soul behind at all times. Thank you so much for being with me. I am Charlotte Chi. Thank you.